So I think this topic, when we were talking about it, was born out of my own personal experience of scrolling Instagram while I'm laying on the couch in recovery from almost dying. And time after time, every time I'd get on Instagram, you have no excuses, no excuses, move your body, no excuses to eat right, no excuse. It was just bombarding me. And I got so angry. And I really started thinking about the other side of this. And I feel like if I scroll my Instagram far enough back, I probably said something similar in my coaching days. I probably did because it's just something that's out there and it's said. And that's why I think you and I talking about it today, the opposite of it is so important because when you scroll and you're in a place where your body physically doesn't work the way it's supposed to, when you cannot stand up long enough to go to the bathroom, much less stand up over a stove to make a healthy meal, and you see somebody tell you you have no excuses, it breaks you. Like, it broke me, especially as a perfectionist, especially as my personality type.
It's because you had already beaten yourself up about all those things. Then all these no excuses people were just piling on to the mental game you'd already been playing. I know you and I had a lot of conversations during that time. I'm like, why are you doing that to yourself? Grace, my dear, compassion for yourself.
Right. Yeah. Yes, I was so hard on myself already. So to have somebody tell me, oh, you have no excuses not to play with your children. Like, it broke me during that time. And I think my recovery and the huge emotional journey that I went through was probably because of this one statement that I kept seeing repeated over and over and over to me, that, oh, if I can do it, you can do it.
And you know what it does? It just robs people of their own personal journey. Now, I know we're talking health in your case, but any journey in your life, when someone says, well, because I did this, you can do it too. There's no excuses because I did it. And I'm thinking, all right, things may have fallen into place where it made it easier for you. You don't have this situational things that Brittany was going through with her health journey last year and almost dying. And even now, still dealing with the ramifications of it. And that kind of no excuses still haunts you to this day. I know it does. From our
You saw it the other day when you were here. You saw me go from jovial to just immediately, just everything drained out of me. And I'm just trying really hard. But I kept telling myself, I kept hearing that no excuses. I have a friend here. I got to pull it together. My friend drove all this way. I got to be a certain way. Like, all of that was still in my ear because it is so ingrained in our society.
And I kept telling you, because you're like, I feel like I should be entertaining you. I'm like, do I look like I need to be entertained? Like, we were talking, having a good time, and talking with Wild Man and you, and the kids were climbing all over me. I was having a great time. People were around. So you don't realize I was getting a lot out of that. And you're like, there's something more. And he said, I'm like, why? Stop that. Okay. But no.
I said no excuses.
No excuses. There's no excuses.
So one particular person on Instagram just rubs me the wrong way, and I finally just had to remove them. I just had to remove them because they were at the top, they were very successful, and I'm happy for them. But they came off as this arrogant of, I've gotten here, so there's no reason you can't. Yeah. And I just think about situational things and where we're born and demographic. I was born in a very, very, very low income family. I was raised in a trailer in the middle of nowhere. Jimmy accidentally ended up in the middle of nowhere where I used to live. I started from the bottom, and I do feel like I am on my way. But I would never look at somebody who started perhaps even lower than I did and be like, well, I got here, so there's no excuse why you can't get here. That's crap. We have to not condemn people higher. We have to lift people higher.
Yeah, and I think there's a better way to do it than say there's no excuses. I think softening that a little bit somehow of, I had struggles too, and I've been where you are. I know what it's like to be flat on my back, thinking I'm going to die. I know all the insecurities about, oh my gosh, I have all these hopes and dreams and wishes for a better future, but I just didn't know how I was going to get there until I did. So come along journey with me. I'll help you understand all along the way how I got to this point where I'm at today. I didn't just wake up and boom, I was here in this successful place. So there's no excuses for you. That's utter bullshit. We're going to tell you success. And then that way you see it more clearly. Would that work?
Absolutely. That is me. That is what I do. That is my presence on Instagram. When I start posting things, I show people the days that I am down, I'm sad, I don't have makeup on, I'm crying on the couch. I show people those days because to get to where I am now, I had a lot of those days. I spent most of my days that way, and now I feel like that 1% better that I've pushed towards, and it's gotten me to where maybe I only have one of those days every other week, rather than every single day or 5 days a week. Like it becomes less and less as you push 1% better and you keep going. But I'm not going to get to the end and be like, well, I'm happy today, so you should be happy. No.
Yeah, and I wish people would mind their own business, because I think at the end of the day, we're all at different points in our life. And I'll just be blunt about one of the things that I've been dealing with. So I gained weight over the past year and a half, last year with the C word and and some things I've been going through in my life that you know about, very few people know about, but stuff. And it's like people are like, oh, see, Jimmy Moore, keto doesn't work for him anymore. There's no excuses why it shouldn't be working. Da, da, da. They have no clue of the context of what I've been going through that could be exacerbating the issue. And it is exacerbating the issue. And so context is everything. When you say no excuses to someone that just got out of the hospital, that almost died, was 23 days in the hospital, like, that's just insensitive to people where they are. And so if you meet people where they are and you say, oh, wow, I've been low, maybe not that low before, but I've been low. Let me empathize with you at that lowness, so that then as you start to come back, I encourage you, not with no excuses, but to say, you've got some excuses, but let's work on reframing that excuse into something positive that will help you progress forward.
Yeah, so my husband loves when I would read no excuses and then it would just come out of my mouth and I would tell myself this and I'd tell myself out loud to my husband. My sweet husband one day gave me the tough love that I so often need, but he's too tender with me to give me that. One day he just grabs me by the face and he goes, it's not an excuse, it's a fucking reason. And I was like,
that's a Brittany.
Yeah.
That's a Brittany-ism if I ever heard one.
Yes.
A reason. Yep, you've said that many a time.
Yes, I got it from Wild Man that I had a reason, a legitimate reason. It wasn't an excuse. My life was turned upside down. I almost died. Big fucking whoop that I'm not in the gym every single day. Like, I'm just trying to live here. I told you I was fired up today. Let me hone that back in a second.
You know what? The biggest person that tells you no excuses is Brittany's conscious. I have had many a talks with you, many a day, and you're rolling your eyes at me. But I've had many a talks with you, many a day where you're like, well, Jimmy, I just know that I need to go to the gym and I'm hurting though, but I know I need to go because I'm going to get behind it. And I'm like, who's putting all this pressure on? Who the hell is telling your head there's no excuses when you do have a reason, as you keep saying? You had big reasons. When you're in pain, you don't go make yourself in pain by working out. At that point, you rest, you relax, you recover, then you hit it.
Yeah.
So there is excuses if you want them to be, but excuse has a negative connotation. Right. Well, it's an excuse you should overcome. And it's like, no, I like Wild Man's, you have a reason. Yeah, you were cut open last year. You're still dealing with the ramification. You had pain the other day when I was coming to see you. And I could see all over your face. I know you well enough that, oh, crap, something's happening. What's going on? And you're like, I'm in pain. I'm like, yeah, I know. I could see it.
Yeah, so shifting real quick, it's like it just came to me. This no excuses thing, wow, was born out of trauma. Hold on, let me rewind. This literally just came up. So, when I was a kid, I was sexually abused at age 12. The story came out to the whole world in my small town when I was 15. Well, at 15, that would have made my brother around 11. And everybody gave him excuses why he wasn't getting his homework done and why he was acting out and why he was doing this. And everybody gave him excuses, whereas I was still expected to make perfect grades. I was still expected, even though the sexual abuse happened to me, it was his biological father, not mine. And but they gave him, like, my grandparents, I remember, like, a really just ingrained in my brain, my grandfather saying, well, that's his real dad. And I'm like, hello, I've known this man since I was a year old. But they gave him excuses and I got no excuses. And it just, like, really messed up my brain. And so here I go, fast forward, my trauma brain is reading people telling me no excuses. Like, I just went through some trauma. Can I have a minute to have a reason why I'm not performing perfectly right now? Well, there you go. There's a story for you.
Sounds very similar to me, because I also had weird dynamics of my dad, and there's another kid by another woman with my dad, and he was treated far differently than me. And I remember one time I was, like, in the midst of my getting beaten. I was maybe 16, so that would have made my brother 10. And he's like, you need to get your life together. He was telling me this at, like, 10, and I was 16. You need to get your life together. You're ruining your life, because Dad would always be berating me, and then he never got it. So in his mind, he was, like, subliminally saying, no excuses. My life is fine. I'm not getting beat. You're getting beat. So you must be doing something that's making that happen. Get your life together. You've ruined your life. I was 16 years old, and this 10-year-old's telling me I've ruined my life. It's hilarious as hell.
Yeah, and as you're saying that, I think about maybe women, or even men who are in an abusive relationship. And people just like, why are you still there? Like, no excuses. You need to get out. And that's not how to help somebody in that situation. And so that's why this no excuses is just utter bullshit. It's just such bullshit, and we have to move away from it. And I'm not saying that we have to be, like, coddly, because I'm not really a coddle person, but it doesn't have to come off so hard. It doesn't have to come off so, ugh.
Well, no excuses has become a tautology. It's just one of those things that you say that sounds good at face value, but if you really examine it on a deep level, no excuses is just like one of the most horrible things you could say to somebody. It lacks empathy. It lacks any kind of compassion for that person. It shows you really don't care about them. Oh, no excuses. Even though it's all under the guise of, I want you to be better. I think you can be better. Go get better. And it's like, those things sound good, but for the person that's hurting, help them heal the hurt first. In your case, heal that trauma that led to this response, and then go in with challenging. I think they're challenging at the wrong time. When they say no excuses, it's a challenge that needs to be heard, but it's got to be appropriately timed for when that person's ready.
Yeah, I'm all about a challenge. I prefer to challenge myself every single day. And when I'm on here, or I'm on my Better with Brittany show that I do, or if I'm writing a post, I love to give a challenge to people.
Mondays at 9 a.m., by the way, becoming.Brittany Lee over on Instagram. Shameless plug. Let's go.
Thank you. But I love to give a challenge or ask a question or to provoke some thought process when I do anything. But I would never get to the end of a long post. I just wrote one today about the perfection cycle, which I am bad at. I get on that one a lot. But I wrote about that, and at the end of it, I challenged, instead of saying no excuses on being the perfection cycle. Like, that doesn't help anybody. Like, give them a reason, give them a motivator, a push, give them progress, not perfection. Sorry, it's on the brain.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're shaming people when you say no excuses. It's almost like, well, if you have an excuse, well, that's bad on you. You need to fix that. And no, I think sometimes we need to give people that little bit of rope. And again, that grace and compassion of understanding where they are in their journey.